I'm going to unbox the Fujifilm x100F. The X100F. Here's the body, some close-ups. In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 improvements I like about the X100F in comparison to the X100T, the previous model of the Fujifilm X100 series. I am not a professional photographer. I'm more of a hobbyist. I primarily do video, but when I purchased the X100T a couple years ago, it really inspired me to start taking more photographs. In a way, having only one lens forces you to be more creative and see the world in a different light. And I really like that. I like the limitation that this camera opens up for other creative possibilities for me. So I purchased the X100F, even though I am perfectly happy with the X100T, and if the X100F had never come out, I would have stuck with the T. I use it frequently. The first thing I really love about the X100F is that it's a upgraded sensor and processor. In fact, it's the same 24.3 megapixel X-Trans CMOS 3 sensor in the Fujifilm X Pro 2 and X-T2 series, the big brothers of this camera. The X100T had a 16 megapixel sensor. The second thing I really liked about the improvements in the X100F is the autofocus. The autofocus in this camera has vastly, in my opinion, vastly improved from the X100T. X100T's autofocus was really the one thing that I felt held it back from being a completely amazing camera. I found that the autofocus hunted a lot in low light and it was just pretty slow. The X100F, with my only a few hours of using it, I can already tell that the autofocus is faster, also because there's more autofocus points in the sensor that's controllable with this D-pad here. Which brings me to the third thing I like about this new upgrade is the dials all around the camera are more improved, more refined than the X100T. For example, all the dials are now on the right side where everything can be controlled with one hand, with my thumb, versus the X100T where there were controls on this side, controls on that side, and if I really wanted to use it, I'd have to do a two-hand adjustment. And there are more dials. There's a spin wheel in the back, which was also on the X100T, but now you got one on the front. And then you have, this used to toggle, it still does, it toggles through the different OVF and EVF and the little EVF inside the OVF viewfinders options, but this also is a function button right here. This one was not a function button. So that's already 2 additional buttons, and the neatest thing about it is this ISO dial that is right on the shutter speed dial. So you just pull this lever up like so, and you can adjust, whoops, let me just lock it in here, and you can adjust the ISO values. The fourth upgrade in the X100F is the battery. You'll notice that the battery's different. Here's the battery, the NP95 that went into the X100T and the X100S and the original X100. The X100F uses the, what is this, the NPW126S, which is the same exact battery as the Fujifilm X2 series. This is good if I ever wanted to add the X-T2 to my photography arsenal. I love it when cameras share batteries. It would have been a drag to having to have multiple batteries for the same ecosystem. Now, once you're in the Fuji ecosystem, same batteries, I really love that. I don't know if it's going to be a longer battery life. It's a bigger battery, but I don't know if it's a longer battery life yet, because this is an upgraded sensor and more megapixels, and it might process more and take more electricity. So the bigger battery might not be the indicator of longer battery life, but I could assume it is. One of the drawbacks, though, of having a bigger battery in the X100F is that the body is slightly wider, which doesn't really matter unless you had the grip, the official Fujifilm grip that attached to the previous X100 bodies. This grip is $130. It's very solidly built. I love it. I rarely shoot without this grip, but now it doesn't look like, I'm assuming that Fujifilm will come out with a grip that fits the X100F. They don't right at this moment, but it's kind of a bummer that this $130 piece of equipment won't last me through the generations of cameras. The final thing I really love about the upgrades to the X100F is the improvement in the movie mode. Now, the X100X series, X100 series, is not known for video. Fujifilm built this camera, designed this camera for street photography and photography, period, not for video. If you want 4K video, advanced video features, you gotta look into their XT2 series. So the X100F isn't the camera for video, although it does have upgraded video modes. The way to get to the video mode is quite interesting and different from the X100T. The X100T, you just push this function button, and the function button enabled the movie recording, and the movie recording could only be adjusted in the menu system, very deep into the menu system. You hit the drive button, and then you get these menu settings that don't show up anywhere else in the regular menu. You have to go up to the drive menu, and then you scroll all the way down to the video mode. Once you select the video mode, you're in video, and you just press the shutter release to start recording the video. And that's how you record video. You have different flavors of 1080 and different flavors of 720. In fact, all flavors. You have PAL and NTSC from 60p all the way down to 23.98. When you shoot in 1080, all of the 1080 modes, you have a max of 14-minute record time. When you shoot in 720, you have a max of 28 minutes record time. So they'll say it shoots up to 28 minutes. That's only in 720p. It's not in 1080. When you're shooting video, the HDMI, the micro HDMI, has a clean HDMI out. This is a clean HDMI signal right from the HDMI output. And then you have a mic adjustment level. You have a 2.5mm mic input jack, same as the X100T. I wish they went 3.5, but they stuck with 2.5 because they also use this as a remote input. You can dial in your audio levels here, but then once you dial it in, you can't dial it in anywhere else. Now I'm recording video, and I have a max of 14, this one's a little bit more than 14 minutes. Once you start recording video, your shutter speed and your ISO are locked. Also your white balance and your film modes, simulation modes, everything's locked except for your f-stop, your aperture, which you can adjust. And then you can also adjust the focus, which is the best improvement for me for the video mode. Once you go into C, focus, this setting, the autofocus is improved a great deal. The autofocus adjusts to the center, and things focus pretty quickly and smoothly. It's not as good as Canon, and it's not as good as some other brands, but it's a lot better than the earlier version. Now I'm going to show some samples of the video from the X100F.